everyone, welcome to my first ever YouTube video, also my first tutorial. Today we're going to be going over the instant team select mechanic and how to do it. This is from Immature's duo box fight, SkyFall. I've heard a lot of people question on how to do this, so I decided to take the time to go ahead and make a tutorial on how to do it. So it works very simply. You can have as many teams as you want with as many as max people as you want on each team. You basically would just walk into the ring, it'll kill you, disable the ring, and then you will respawn on your designated team spawn plate wherever you want them to get teleported to. So this, again, you don't have to use this for just box fights. You don't have to have the same amount of teams. You don't have to have the same amount of people on a team. This is just an example version. Okay, you also don't have to have the same amount of, you don't have to have the same channels and everything, okay? This is just an example. So, anything that you need to change, the only thing I'm going to be saying is stuff that you need to change in the settings. So, first, I'm just going to go over the class selectors, the most important part, of course. So, pretty much all the selectors have the same settings, except for, except for the channels and the team, but pretty much they all have the same settings. So if we first go over here to all options, let me just start from the top. So for this one, again, so first team to swap to, whatever team you would like. This one I put team 2. Activating team could be any. Time to switch, make sure that is instant. Respawn player and switch, very important, make sure that is yes. Again, for store health and shields, make sure that is yes. Clear items on switch, class items only. Size of volume, you could really make this whatever you would like, but in Immature's, he has it 2 meters, so I decided to replicate this his size, but it could be whatever size you would like. The volume and visible in game, you don't really have to make, you just have to make sure the volume is visible in game. You don't really have to make sure that the actual base itself is visible in game, but if you would like to, you can. You can make the accent color whatever you want. I would really recommend having all the class selectors that switch you to the same team be the same color. Enable during phase, gameplay only. And then these are the channel options. I do not know why this is 2. Ignore that. I did go through it before, sometimes my joystick kind of just mess it up. Anyway, so this part is what it makes it disable itself. So it says here, when teams switch, transmit on the channel, whatever channel you have open, whatever channel you could use, but whatever channel you put into that, make sure it is the same and disable when receiving from. Okay? Now if we move on to the next one, oh wait, shoot, sorry. I have to make sure this is on team. Alright. Now moving on to the next one. Again, pretty much all the same settings except for the disable and the when team switch transmit on. Make sure that these are on a different channel, because you don't want it to where if one person would go into one of them, it would disable all of them. That would just make the game unplayable. So, but you also have to make sure that disable and receiving from and when team switch transmit on is the same channel, or else it will not work. Now this is the next team. As you can see, it is a different color. This one, team swap onto the next team or whatever team is open, which in this case is team 3. If you're wondering why I didn't use team 1, is because I wanted to play it a bit safer, because I didn't want to use team 1, because I thought that usually players will start on team 1 when, stuff like that, except for when you're using free-for-all, but you're not going to be using free-for-all for this. I don't think it will work. But anyway, the time to switch would be, again, the same thing. Again, make sure that this is another channel, completely other channel. This one, again, pretty much the same thing, except for the fact that, the channel has to be changed. Anyway, so that's pretty much just all the settings for the class selectors. Those are all the basic settings. Again, you could customize all the other settings that I didn't make. If you don't want the little base visible, you can do all that. Anyway, now we move on to the spawn settings. I did not mess with any of the settings except for disable and receiving from the channel that I'm going to mention. Whenever I go over the trigger that activates it. Again, all these are the same setting. Again, if you want to make it invisible, you can. If you want to make it Use it on the start, you can. Proximity group, anything you want. But the only thing that needs to be changed for this to work is disable when receiving from any channel. Now, if we go outside here, we also have a trigger, which basically this trigger activates at the start of the game. As you can see here, activate on game phase, game start. And when it's activated, it transmits onto the same channel that disables the spawn pads. So also, it does have a 1 second delay. You don't really need a delay, I don't think, but just to be on the safe side, because I don't really know, I would really recommend just putting it on 1 second. Anyway, moving on. So again, all these spawn pads are the same settings. You could again customize any setting except for the disable when receiving from. But that could also just be whatever channel you want. For the settings in whatever room you're gonna get spawned in, if it's a box fight, a zone war, whatever you're doing, it doesn't even need to be a fighting game. It could be anything you would like, but whatever the zones are, the next wherever you're gonna teleport to your team, make sure that the enable during phase is a none. Okay, so players don't spawn here, which I don't think they should, but make sure it is on none. Make sure the team on each of these beside each other are the same, because whenever we go into the class selector, we want to make sure that when we're switching that team, we respawn at our team's designated spawn area. Again, nothing that we need to change for this to work. Again, completely customizable, can change whatever you need. Enable when receiving from. Make sure that is on the same channel that triggers when the trigger is activated, so it enables during that phase. Anyway, all these are the same settings except for the fact that this one is the next team, whatever team it is. So make sure that these are not the same team, or else it may not work. Anyway, yeah, that's pretty much it. So if I start the game, well, wait, sorry, I almost forgot. If you go to the game settings, these are the only settings you have to mess with. If they're only in the game settings, the only settings you have to mess with. So the settings are teams. Really important to make sure that they are custom. Because if they are not, it will not work. I tried cooperative. I haven't tried free-for-all yet, but I've tried cooperative, and it did not do it. It did not work. Make sure, so it has to be custom, but also make sure the team size is whatever size you want the teams to be. So basically, just how many class selectors you have is what the size of the team you want it to be. And that's pretty much all you have to mess with in this. So only like 2 things. Anyway, that's pretty much it. So if you start the game, I'll show you an example of what it should do. So the game will start. You should disable. If you go over here, we have our two class selectors. I'm going to choose team 2, which is technically team 3, but you know, we go in, it disables itself, we respawn, and then we should respawn on this side, the team 3 side of the base. So I'm gonna go it again, but this time I'm going to go into it through the next team to show us going onto the other side. So I'll just go into this one. See, it disables itself. And then we respawn on the team 2 side. So I'm gonna show, so that's pretty much it. That's pretty much just how to do the tutorial. I hope you guys enjoyed. If this helped you, be sure to leave a like. If you have any questions, just leave them in the comments. That's why they're there. Hope this helped you guys out.